Hello, and how are you? Please pardon me today. It's a little dark and gloomy for this car chat, but I wanted to try something a little bit different. I wanted to let you into my world, my journey, my experience right now, and I figured it could be helpful because sometimes you're not really sure what to expect, which means you're not sure what questions to ask, you're not sure how certain things should be feeling. And so as I allow you into my journey, I figured it could be a great opportunity to let you kind of see the other side, right? I know that's a part of the reason why we're working together is you wanted to work with someone who had the lived experience of not being healthy, not being comfortable in their body, not being comfortable in their skin, and then endured the process to become someone who was, right? So I think I want to start with what is the goal? And I think it's really important to start with what's the goal because grounding in the goal helps you stay focused when discussions and distractions and life events, like I'll talk about today, start to happen. So what's my goal? I want to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. I want to be physically competent. I want to be at my 90th birthday party dancing without a walker, right? I want to avoid elder care, right? I want to be old and independent. I want to be strong. I want to be mobile. I want to be flexible. I want to be fast. I want good cardio. And I want to be lean. I want a low body fat percentage. Now, there are certain things that certain of us enjoy and appreciate, like curves and fill in the blank. Like I want to keep all that stuff. And I want to be lean because your body fat percentage is one of the biggest biomarkers, right? Not your weight, not what you weighed on the scale this morning. But when you do a DEXA scan or an in-body scan, and it shows you how much of your current weight is body fat versus muscle versus bone density, the amount of body fat that you have according to your frame can help us indicate your lifespan. So I want to be lean, not just to live for a long time, but also to make it through perimenopause and menopause well, right? I want to make it through that window of time without having to feel like I don't recognize myself, right? There are some things that I can do proactively in preparation for menopause to keep me from losing muscle, keep me from sarcopenia, keeping me from not feeling like myself. And having had all of these years of struggling with my weight, that's one thing I don't want to do again. I don't want to struggle with my weight or my body composition or my health again. So right now, my goal is all of those things combined. Ultimately, increasingly longer health span, okay? Increasingly longer health span and quality of life. So with that at the center of my goal, there's some things that I need to be sure that I'm doing. For example, I need to be sure that I keep my body fat down. I drop my body fat, I increase my muscle mass, okay? And so in practice, what this looks like for me is starting last year, right? Because this is a lifestyle. Starting last year, it started with get as lean as I possibly could at that moment. Then spend the majority of last year building muscle. Then January this year, start my fat loss phase. And here's where our story begins. January this year, I started my fat loss phase, and January is a really great time to start a fat loss phase just because there are very few distractions. There's momentum of the new year. It's like the holidays are over. And so all of those things that could be drawing your attention away from what's required to move the needle on a fat loss goal are kind of out of the way for at least a few months. January is a really great time to be trying to lose weight. Now, I started my fat loss phase in January, and I said this fat loss phase is going to be slower and more sustainable than it's ever been. And here's where historically I had gotten this wrong. Historically, I had tried every single diet under the face of the planet to try to lose as much weight as I could as quickly as possible. However, I was not mature enough to realize that losing weight as quickly as possible also resulted in gaining back the weight just as quickly. You've had the experience of losing weight super duper fast, doing whatever you did, whether it's fasting, keto, vegan, vegetarian, smoothie cleanse, whatever it is that you did. You've had the experience of losing weight super fast. And you've also had the experience of gaining that weight back in nearly half the time it took to get it off, right? You did a 21-day cleanse, you lost 10 pounds. It only took you 10 days to gain that 10 pounds back, right? You know, you're nodding your head, you know what I'm saying, okay? So I said this year, I want for my fat loss phase to be sustainable because I don't want to do this again. I want my forever body, right? I want to begin cultivating my forever body, which means attempting fat loss. Sorry about this, my front thing is fogging up here. 1 second. All right. I want my forever body to be something that I can sustain. I don't want to have to yo-yo in and out of my forever body. I want it to be something I can sustain. So I said, okay, in order to get to forever body, you need to allow yourself a long time to do it. You need to be patient. You need to go slow, and it needs to be sustainable. And sustainable meaning it has to have components that fit into my life, components that allow me to travel, that allow me to go here and be there and celebrate my birthday. And you all know, from March to April, I have been just all over the world, traveling, celebrating, and fill in the blank. It's been an amazing experience. However, also in March, I got injured. I had a very scary moment in the gym where I thought I was going to be paralyzed. I didn't know what happened. I thank God I walked away from that moment, but it was incredibly scary. And so here we are with some flexibility, but also with some life happening. Life happened, and therefore my approach to the plan is going to have to change. Now, I'm really proud because where I am right now, I have lost, let's see, from January to March, end of March when I had the accident, I'd lost 13 pounds, right? And I was really proud of that, right? It was nice and slow, nice and easy, about a pound a week, right? I'd lost 13 pounds. But then I got injured. And because I was injured, I could not walk, right? I couldn't walk for several weeks. I could not resistance train. I'm still not boxing. I'm still not going to CrossFit because I still have this back twinge it's just not ready yet, okay? So I've needed to ensure that the way that I approached my fat loss phase post-injury was really honed in on the nutrition because I could not pull the activity lever, right? I couldn't rely on my activity to help me lose weight. So I had to rely on my nutrition. I had to lock in and make the nutrition tight. And with the nutrition being tight, from March to now, today is May 9th, with the nutrition being tight from the end of March to May 9th, I have maintained my low weight of 159. I am still there, and I'm so happy about that because this could have gone completely wrong. The past 6 weeks could have been a complete reversal of all the progress that I made, but it wasn't a reversal. The last 6 weeks was a maintenance of the progress that I had made, which lets me know if I'm able to maintain the progress that I've made, right? You can look at this and say, dang, I haven't lost any weight since the end of March. Or you can look at this and say, dang, I haven't gained any weight since the end of March. Meaning I have maintained my lifestyle since the end of March, even without being able to move more. Okay, that's wonderful news. That's amazing progress. And that's almost a non-scale victory, right? It's adjacent to a scale victory, but it's a non-scale victory because it speaks to the education and skills that are required in order to make that a reality. Something has clicked, right? Something has clicked. I get it. I got it. I can maintain my forever body, right? That feels so good. Okay, so then the goal. I'm thinking that the goal that I'm looking for is somewhere in between 145 and 153. 145 on the lowest end, 153 on the highest end. At 159, that means I have about halfway to go, okay? Now, my body is on the mend. I'm getting a little bit better. However, life is happening. Travel is coming. It is the beginning of May. This month, I'm traveling twice. June, I'm traveling twice, right? The summer's coming up and things are going to happen and barbecue, celebration, da-da-da-da-da-da. The things are about to start happening, which means I need to be very thoughtful about how I approach this last 14 pounds of my goal, of my journey over the next, the rest of this year, right? How am I going to approach this for the rest of this year? It's only 14 pounds, which means on the slow end, I could do it in 14 weeks, which would technically be, March, April, May, June, July or August, right? 14 weeks. I could do it somewhere around August, right? But it's up against all of the summer demands, which means that I need to reevaluate what I'm going to actually be able to do with all the summer demands, with my summer palate changing, what I want changing, what I want to eat, how much I eat, the time I eat. If you've noticed, right, you want to eat later, you want more sweet things, you want more like watery fruits types of things. You want less heavy things, maybe less dairy, maybe less protein, right? We need to talk about that stuff because this is real, right? The seasons are changing, and so your approach to your goals needs to change. That's speaking to myself. My approach to my goals need to change as the seasons change. So instead of even trying to take a fast pace to this, which would technically be somewhere like a pound or maybe like 1.5 pounds per week, I can't do that. I can't. With it being the summer months and me traveling, losing a pound to 1.5 pounds per week would put me somewhere in between 1,400 and 1,500 calories a day. I cannot eat 1,400 calories a day and travel, right? I can't eat 1,400 calories a day right now with how my appetite and my palate is changing. I cannot do that. So instead of going fast, losing somewhere between a pound and a pound or 1.5 pounds per week, I, because of this season of my life, have to go slow. And that means it might take another 20 to 30 weeks to lose my 14 pounds. I'm thinking that it might be about 0.5 pound per week of fat lost because of how my life is demanding me meet the current circumstances. So if I am losing about 0.5 pound per week, that puts my calories somewhere around 1,900 per day, right? And leaves my activity level where it is, considering I'm still recovering from an injury. However, as the injury improves, my energy output also gets to improve, which means that maybe instead of like being in a 500 calorie deficit, as my energy output improves, maybe I can put myself in something like a 750 calorie deficit, which allows this to go a little bit faster. But here's the caveat. I actually don't care how fast it goes. I don't. Obviously, there's too slow, right? There's too slow. And too slow can be controlled by a multitude of factors, your metabolism being one, your hormones potentially being another. But too slow is mostly influenced by your ability to follow your plan. If we have a beautiful plan, but you can only follow it twice a week, that's why it's going too slow. For my plan, I am going to go slow, but not too slow, because I am cultivating a plan that works for me and this season, this chapter of my life. So then, back to me not caring how slow I go. I don't care about how slowly I take this because my objective is to live there. Think about this. If you were trying to save for a down payment on a house, right? And you could only make but so many sacrifices to save for this down payment. Like, you don't want to eat Wonder Bread and bologna for 3 meals a day, right? So you can only do but so much